What's up, Otakus? Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. It's getting to be end of the year time. Hope everybody's making plans for not only Christmas, but, you know, winding down the year and preparing for next year. Um, yeah, I just wanted to get on and kind of finish off this whole series. um, and maybe do some, I don't know, think of something fun to do. But as far as like 2026 goes, I'm ready for it to be done. Not that it was a bad year, but just, you know, just dealing with some of the physical issues and work related issues. It's just been a lot of kind of stress, especially just leading up to now. So hoping things kind of improve in the new year, and hoping things improve just all around for everybody. I know, you know, it's a situation where it just feels like uh, things are getting a little tighter and tougher for most people. And yeah, hope everybody is just staying mentally well in terms of their, you know, just stay sound, everybody, please. It's been I think a hard time for a lot of folks mentally. um I may take a step back from like social media and all that in the coming year. It just, I don't know, just feels like it's not really helpful, and it's a big time suck and all that. So we'll see. Anyway, let's get through this video, and then um can talk about stuff as we go along. So today we're doing the top Superman pickups of 2026, and uh, it it has probably been my best year for Superman pickups. I mean, it's been my best year for Superman pickups. Um, I've always Superman's always been a part of my focus when I'm out on the hall. But in years past, I've been kind of focused on picking up a variety of stuff, not just Superman, but I collect all kinds of stuff, and I kind of made it a point to just uh, have kind of a good list of what I want. Also have the little bandwidth to pick up things that you know are outside of that list. Um, and for the most part, yeah, I think I want to say the last 2, 3 years have been pretty good in terms of adding things I want to the collection. Um, but this year was really the first year, and I don't know, maybe it has a little bit to do with the movie. It has a little bit to do with the fact that there's a lot of excitement around DC. Um, but this year was definitely very Superman oriented, and within that Superman orientation, you also have things like Justice League, things like World's Finest or Batman, Batman, Superman related Batman. I also picked up not a lot, but had Wonder Woman on my mind as well. So she was always in the back of my mind on hunts as well. So we picked up some Wonder Woman as well, um, and not a lot of Marvel stuff. Um, but like I said, I did a you know best pickups of 2026 that are non-Superman. And really, when you count up all the books I picked up this year, I probably picked up close to like 200. I want to say almost maybe 250 books this year. No, probably like a little over 200, maybe 210, 220 books, something like that. Um, I would have to say like 80% of that was Superman. And I'm not even exaggerating there. It's probably higher. Um, it's probably close to like 90% of that was, yeah, Superman right now. Okay. I'd say 80% is a fair 85%, right around there. 85% of that was like 230 some odd books were Superman or Superman related books. So that discounts even like a Wonder Woman book unless he's on there, right? So yeah, it was overwhelmingly Superman. I mean, you go back and watch my videos, you'll see like it's pretty much like a Superman haul with a couple books thrown in. And again, in years past, it would kind of be just a variety of things with some Superman stuff thrown in. So this was the real first year that I had focused on Superman, and we picked up a lot of good stuff. In fact, I have 25 books. I whittled it down to 25 books, but again, like out of what 100, I want to say 180 books or so, and probably more, 190 books or so, were like Superman related. So whittling down 190 to 25, it's kind of a not an easy thing to do. But luckily, I've put sort of the bigger pickups and all that kind of in my, kind of in my priority uh, locations. So in terms of pulling it, I pulled most of it, and I just had to. Obviously, it was a lot more than 25, so I had to kind of whittle it down and come to 25. So I do want to go over though some honorable mentions, because these also feel like very big pickups. It's just there's just too many to really, um, at some point you got to like cut it off, and I had a really hard time. In fact, one of these books I spent the last 20 minutes looking for, just wanting it to be on the list. But then when I actually started going through the list, I realized it was a book that didn't need to be on the list. So I spent all this time looking for it, and it's on my consolation honorable mention list. So let's just go through kind of what I picked up in terms of Superman. This is what kind of sentimental favorites or my favorite pickups from the year, and we'll go from there. Now, these are comic books. I did recently show original art. I did pick up original art this year, and I didn't put it on this list because it's kind of its own piece. It definitely is a Superman pickup in 2026, but I'll kind of feature it. I've featured it already, but I'll kind of just feature it at a different time. I do want to just try to focus on like comic books for today, rather than incorporate that into the list. That's kind of a standalone pickup, very special to me. It really is. I don't consider it a part of my comic book collection. I consider it part of my um, like original art collection. And I only have one piece in my original art collection. So it's the standalone piece in collection. So minus that piece, maybe I'll show it off at the end if we have time and I'm feeling okay. So let's get to it. We're going to start here with these are the honorable mentions. I'm going to start here with an early pickup. Hold on, it's not popping up here. I'm going to start here with a kind of an early pickup. I think I picked this up around February or so, maybe March or February. And I actually had I had three copies of this. I gave one to Josh. His boy likes Superman, so I thought it'd be a good, this is a pretty I'm sure it's going to be a trending comic book we enter as we go through the DC resurgence Superman era. And I do call it DC resurgence because DC has always been at the forefront of pop culture in terms of its popularity. It's driven by Superman, it's driven by Batman. It's only been really recently, and I would say, starting with that X-Men movie back in 2001, and then culminating into the Iron Man movie, which has kickstarted the DCU or MCU, excuse me. And so we're talking about like it's been a while, it's been decades. Obviously, it's like a 20-25 year run for Marvel. And I think Marvel still kind of retains the fandom when it comes to comic books. And DC hadn't done much during that period outside some Nolan Batman movies. Maybe a Suicide Squad movie here and there. For the most part, it's been Marvel's show. They've pretty much captured all the revenue. Even this year, right? Even though Superman ended up being the more popular comic book movie, in terms of projects and all that, Marvel still put more out and brought in more total. So it's not a complete resurgence as of yet, but DC's back. And I think from a comic book perspective, it's definitely it's where collectors are focusing. And in terms of back issues, I think you're seeing that as well. So I think heading into 2026, again, books like these are going to be kind of sought after. Probably you'll see them pop up more on like trending lists and whatnot. So, which is a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing for me if it's this particular book, bad thing for me if it's other books that I want to add because I'll just end up paying more. And I kind of caught the tail end of that this year. I do notice now that older Superman books, books that I could have picked up way back when, for like a couple bucks, right? $2-3. Probably moving forward, it's going to be like closer to 10 to pick up the same like Silver Age books. A lot of the influencers now are just openly saying like, go get, Silver Age Superman because it's still relatively cheap and all this. And it, I don't know. I just don't need competition. It was nice when I didn't have competition for Superman books, but now it's like we're at that point, right? So it is what it is. But I'm just gonna flip this over and give you this beautiful Paul Dini, right? Paul Dini run on Superman Adventures, and yeah, this is the first Superman Adventures #1 special preview edition. So this is a consolation. It's honorable mention. It's not really part. What's up, Prime? Superman will keep going up in price, as cheap now as they will ever be. Right. Yeah, well, this is the thing that makes me kind of hopeful that um, Superman prices will remain where they are. It's because you've got a lot of new collectors coming into the hobby who want to collect Superman, which is fine, right? A new collector coming in to collect Superman. It's so vast though. And for you to really commit to like, I'm gonna like just collect Superman, right? I feel like those kinds of collectors are few and far between. Like, and those kind of collectors have already been collecting Superman and have a pretty, well represented. So those collectors will probably go out and spend a little bit more on books now related to Superman. Um, but overall, I think the Superman collectors are competing, and these are Superman collectors that are already in the hobby, right? Um, we're not necessarily competing with the new Superman collectors because I don't think the new Superman collectors, they don't get heavy into it. They're probably collecting the newer titles, probably collecting books like this or something like period pieces like Death of Superman, all that. But it takes a little bit of like, I don't know, a little bit of uh, everybody. This is where I think you'll see things shoot up like key books, like first Supergirl, first Kara, um, first Brainiac, um, key crypto issues from the Silver Age, key Supergirl books from the Silver Age. These kind of key books are going to be things newer collectors or younger collectors or even like speculative, like profit driven collectors will try to buy cheap. So in that sense, you go to your local LCS, all those kinds of like frivolous key. Well, I shouldn't say frivolous, but those the keys that people chase after. Those will be harder to find. Those will be priced higher. Those will be the ones that are going to be harder to get. But overall, like Superman commons and things like that, that's what I'm hoping doesn't move. That's what I'm hoping because, like, just your average comic book, not key, just a serial in the run, right? That's kind of what I'm hoping stays. And oh, you're saying comics as a whole is going to go up? Yeah, that may be true. Comics are kind of at an all-time low, and comic contents are still as popular as ever. So there's a disconnect between people who watch comic book movies, read comics, and the ones that actually are like old school collectors like myself. So it's different. You'll see kids really get into comic book collecting, like, you know what I mean? Like they'll get into something they like and like kind of go after back issues and then learn more about the hobby and kind of they become a little bit more savvy with what they pick up. But again, there's so much to collect. You really have to like find your niche. I strongly feel like as popular as Superman will get in the coming years, the people who actually collect Superman, the people who like go to the LCS, go to Action Comics and Superman and like dig and pick up Superman books. Um, they've been there. You know what I mean? It's not like going to be this explosion of like Superman collectors because of this movie. Now, down the road, like maybe 10 years from now, you'll see like the mass popular Superman convert most collectors, and he will be the most popular thing in the hobby. But I think we have a ways to go till it gets to that point. But definitely, this is bringing out, I'm sure I'm not alone, but if you're a Superman collector, a lot of us are. Um, this is definitely kind of firing up the juices, maybe creating a little FOMO, like, oh man, I got to pick that up. Ah, here's a perfect collector to give us insight into how FOMO-ish are they are feeling about Superman, right? So, fanboy, are you feeling FOMO for Superman in 2026, or are you just gonna kind of keep it, keep the same pace, maybe focus on a little bit more, but just pick up a wide variety of things. It's not all the movie stuff is not really impacting you from a buy standpoint. I guess, are you worried about Superman books that used to be very affordable, dollar bin type books? Are you afraid that you're going to get priced out of those? A part of me feels like that's the case for keys, like I said earlier. But a part of me thinks, books like this will be maybe harder to pick up. But will a book like this be harder to pick up? That's really where my fear is. And I got this for like what, $3, $3. Yeah, it's kind of beat up. It's got writing on it and all that, but yeah, it's got some like tears there. All in all, though, it's covers attached. Still looks beautiful, but it's a super fatso cover. So the question is, how much of the hobby will shift to Superman? And if it does shift, like will it be like one of these like situations where the high tide, lifts all boats? Or will it just be this wave of just keys going up? Because if I can't pick up books like this in 2026 for a few bucks, and again, given the condition and all that, for under $5, for example, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard time for Superman collectors moving forward. But something tells me, because again, there's a lot of Superman books out there. Okay, there are also a lot of Superman collectors, old school collectors, who are passing away, and so these collections are going to the LCS. They're going to sellers, and it's really what the market will dictate, right? Sellers already know, hey, I can't overprice Superman. There's just too much of him out there. But high grade Superman, yeah, that's probably going to go for a little bit more of a premium. But question is, where's the ceiling on a book like this? Will it be $2-3, or will it be more? That's the difficult thing. I want to own any or every. I know. Oh yeah, did they lose? They weren't able to come back, huh? That's too bad. Yeah, the Seahawks almost lost to Philip Rivers today. That was disturbing to say the least. At home, nonetheless. I mean, that crowd noise, our crowd noise, just wins us football games. And I don't know, maybe Philip Rivers is already deaf. Maybe the noise didn't bug him, but that dude was like ready to pull an upset today. crazy. And his ball, man, he should not be playing. I mean, I feared for his life today watching that game. Um, I think our defense was just kind of like, let's not kill the guy. Let's let's be gentle when we do sack him. Like, they weren't looking to, you know, I'm sure there was a conversation like, should we kill him or should we give him his little day in the sun here? But let's see. I'll be fine with just Action Comics one. I think most of us would. I'm fine with my my facsimile copy. Superman comics are I think, seriously, like, being a Superman collector is the worst because you have to literally collect so many different things related to Superman. It's not just like if you just were to collect the Superman comics, for example, volume one, volume two, that's over 1,000 in terms of its, well, I think its legacy is coming, it's getting close to 1,000, so it hasn't reached 1,000 yet. But that's a legacy count of almost 1,000. Then Action is a legacy count of over 1,000. Right? I think we're creeping up on 1,100, if not, we haven't surpassed that yet. So you got like 2,000 books to collect right there off the bat. So you got to pick and choose your Superman battles. All right, so this is another honorable mention of what I picked up. Obviously, it's just a beautiful cover here, super fat. So the 2-ton Superman. It's got this telephone booth shattering again. It's hard. We live in an age where Superman can't do the telephone booth transformation anymore. Sadly, I do hope Gunn incorporates that at some point, but not having the changing the telephone booth is it's just un-Superman. It's so un-Superman. So I don't know how you would modernize that. It's obviously dated, but they gotta bring it in somehow. They gotta bring that into the continuity of movies somehow. All right, that's another honorable mention. This one is one of my favorite pickups, and this is the one I was looking for 20 minutes to show off as part of this list. But then I realized, oh man, I've got better books that should make the list. So yes, this did not make the list. I got this book for, I believe, $2 at Grit City. And as you know, I could have picked up a newsstand copy of this for $1 right at the start of the summer of Superman. And I left it there intending to come back and buy it. And it was gone. The very next week I came back, it was gone. So don't do that. Don't make my mistake. But luckily, so again, I went all summer hunting for this book. And yeah, I searched. It was like, you know how you obsess over something? If you have a chance to pick it up, you're just like, all right, we'll find it at some point. Searched everywhere local to me. Nobody had it. And these Batman adventures are actually hard to find. You rarely see them anywhere. And if you do, they're just like the most random sort of non keys from the run. I think a lot of people collect this Batman Adventures, so it should be interesting. I saw a new cover of Robin that Jim Lee drew, and they covered up all of his rendering with dark colors. Tragedy. Ooh, that is not good. Yeah. I think I know which cover you're talking about. Who's excited for the Superman Spider-Man crossovers? They announced that. There's a bunch of like cool. The one that I want to get, and I wish Jim Lee would do more of. I wish Jim Lee would have done the cover actually. I don't know who did the cover, but it's the black suit Spider-Man and Superman cover. That, oh, I so want that. I mean, it's not the best. The art, I don't know who the artist is. In terms of the art, I don't think it's like the best, but that concept, the fact that it's the first black suit of the two characters together, um, that makes it a kind of a must-have, at least for me. And I wish Jim Lee had done that cover because it would be, yeah, I mean, that would be at the top of my list if that were the case. But I do like what they're doing with the Marvel DC stuff. But anyway, we got Mullet Superman here, in this really iconic cover, in my opinion. You've got the Parabec cover here. On Batman Adventures. And yeah, this precedes the release of this book, right? So it's like Batman Adventures was like doing really well. I mean, it was very popular. You know, Saturday morning cartoon. I think it was. I was thinking it was they had this running every day. It was like a daily episodal type thing. It wasn't like a weekly thing. It was like they were airing this every day, and of course, it's very intelligent in terms of it's like it's. I think it's targeted toward adults, to be honest. Like some of the humor and some of the like, innuendo in the series was just like geared toward adults. I don't know if kids would catch stuff like that. And the art was fantastic. The animation in that is just incredible. So, Batman Adventures just launched an entire studio because now DC Animation, or I should say Warner Brothers Animation, is just killing it with the modern adaptations. And they built this entire DC universe through cartoons that people can enjoy. People like me, people like my children, anybody of any age can enjoy. And it all started with this series here. This series success is what led to this whole style of DC animation. And so, yeah, this one obviously is like the first DC animated Superman, and then he gets his own series, animated series in much the same fashion, but a very different tone than that because they're different characters. So they took a really kind of lighter tone with Metropolis and the backstory and all that. It was very Superman-esque in terms of the origin and the cast of characters he was going up against versus the rogues, gallery that Batman was up against. It was again really one of the best things that come out of the 90s, I think. From a comic book content standpoint. All right. This is another book that I wanted to be part of the list, but again, we had too many really, really good books. And this is another book I had been targeting. And I wanted this, for whatever reasons, I wanted this in like the highest grade I could get. I wanted a near mid copy, and it's kind of what we have. It's really, really, really nice. I forget what I paid for this. I think I paid like, let's say like $5 for this. Um, that is the case. It's not the book. But yeah, it's the Superman jumping on hamburgers, and he's got this line of these waitresses in what looks like a McDonald's knockoff drive through kind of place. Um, I should say drive in kind of place. It's just hilarious. It's one of the funniest. It's one of the funniest things because Superman doesn't starve to death. Doesn't really need food. Just eats uh, just to enjoy. And then here's him in a situation where he's like not enjoying it, and he's just there's no end in sight to what he can devour. So kind of cool. Yeah, this is just a must-have, I think, for if you love Superman, you love. Nothing key about this. It's just a great Bob Oxner cover here. Again, classic stuff right there. In the Bronze Age. All right, these are still, mind you, all these books. We're not even into the list yet. All of those books were. These were. These weren't part of the top 25 list. These are just. Man, I can't speak today. They're just. What's the phrase I'm looking for? They're honorable mentions. These are all honorable mentions for top pickups. They are top pickups. They're just not the top 25. So there you go. All right, let's get to the top 25. Starting us off at 25, we've got the oldest Superman comic book in my collection. This is Superman number 84 from 1953. Now, I do have an older comic book than this. It's Superboy 10 from 1950. But, as great as that, it's a key book. It's one of the best, it's one of my best Superman books in the collection, but it's not Superman. This is from Superman Volume 1. This is my earliest or oldest Superman book. And I bought this as a coverless book. It's got a lot of issues. I think it's even got a big chunk missing out of the back page. While the staples are there, it's again just flaking off. I can't even take it out of this bag. I mean, and you guys see some stains there as well. It's just, but what we got here is some Al Plastino goodness right there on the first page, setting up our story here. I mean, this first page here is actually better than the cover. This could have been the cover. The cover of this book is a policewoman Lois patrolling the streets saying, nothing is going on my beat. But Superman's literally catching criminals and, doing things in the background right behind her. So the cover's great. I think the cover, no, there's nothing wrong with that cover. I think it's a great cover. But for me, I did this. If had this been the cover, this would have been as good as an alternate for a cover for that this book as its actual cover. So I'm just really happy with this. And obviously, I'm just wanting to preserve it, even though it's really beat up and all that. It is history here. It is a Superman book. And it is the real thing here. So yeah, starting us off on the Superman, my oldest Superman book added to the collection now, Superman 84 from 1953. All right, moving right along. This is number 24. I almost would have made this much higher on my list because I love this book. I mean, this is probably may end up being like one of my favorite Neil Adams pieces of all time. Uh, because you got to understand, Neil Adams just didn't do Superman. He did a lot of these characters throughout his career. Um, he's worked on the books I'm talking about, right? He's worked on Green Lantern, he's worked on Green Arrow, he's worked on all three of these Trinity characters, he's worked on The Flash. I mean, there's not a DC character or book he really hasn't touched. And that includes the Justice League, right? So just having this sort of world's greatest superheroes special, DC 100, by really probably somebody who deserves the moniker of DC's finest artists, right? He's in the breadth that you would take of some of the greatest to work at the studio. And I just love that it's, again, a wraparound cover. It's a lot of the older, Justice Society of America characters there, right? Mixed in with the current Justice League characters. This is a very early Bronze Age book. And you get Neil Wonder Woman there. Just looking fabulous in the spotlight. You just don't get this every day from Neil Adams. So when you do get it, you have to put it in your collection. You have to cherish it and you have to enjoy it. You have to just love it. Love it, love it. Again, this is what I mean when I say, like, I have a lot of great books, but it's hard to, like, it's hard to whittle this down. The only reason this particular book isn't higher on my list is because the grade of the book is not that. I mean, it's, show you the spine here. It's not terrible. Obviously, it could be worse, but there are just so many issues here, especially with these long, book length creases there at the edge. Got a lot of edge wear, a lot of color break in the book. Doesn't really detract though from the image, so that's what's nice. This front cover actually looks pretty decent. There's no like creasing on the central part of the book, and everybody kind of comes out looking decent on the front cover as well. You do have like little chips here, right? You got the spine wear and the color break along the spine, but all in all, not bad. I think I picked this up for what, $15, or sorry, $17 when it was all said and done. Not bad. Yeah, not bad. So again, would have been higher on the list had it been in better condition. This is number 23 on the list. 23. 23 has to be one of my sentimental favorites. Just because it's, again, Neil Adams. and it's just beautiful. Like, look at her face here. It's just gorgeous. I mean, that is Supergirl. That's who if we were to see her in real life, that's what she would look like, right? It's about as kind of a realistic rendering of her as we get. Oh yeah, All Star Squadron. That's right. The old DC heroes. Yeah, the ones that were like that precede Superman. Some of those heroes, right? So, um, some of them. And these are the ones that are like the weird. They're like masked in like suits and stuff, but they're not really like caped costume type suit. It's there's a fine line there. It's like there are a bunch of people that are kind of like on the verge of doing a costume type, but Superman's the first like ridiculous sort of tights cape type costume character. But there were some that preceded him that were kind of in the same realm, but not really. But yeah, great Neil Adams piece. This also probably should be higher on my list. This one, the condition is really, really decent. As you can kind of probably tell, you see a crease here. But let me show you the spine. The spine is really just, you can like literally just, it's like still intact for a square bound book. You can't see it through the case, but trust me, you can like, it's like intact. You can read it. Maybe this is a better angle to see it. It's not wanting to focus. It's right there. It says featuring greatest super baby stories on the spine there. Greatest super baby stories. And this is really the reason I love this book. You have the great artwork here, but then you realize this is the greatest super baby stories ever told issue, the 80-page giant. Oh man, this is just too good. It's just incredibly good. All right, moving on to 22. More Bob Oxner goodness here. Supergirl number 8. I was mentioning the other day, I don't necessarily collect good girl art. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people that go after just like girly covers, covers where you have sort of like, I guess, sort of objectifying comic book characters. That's never been my like thing to collect. But I gotta admit, I am wanting to collect more and more of it. But I'm resisting because it's a deep well to fall down, first off, right? It's a deep rabbit hole. If you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to collect sexy covers, good girl sexy. And I know a bunch of my collector friends that do this. But it's a deep rabbit hole and well to collect. I mean, just collecting out, Adam Hughes stuff, just collecting his stuff is a chore. Then you got to incorporate, those like Dave Stevens or people from the Golden Age, the Silver Age. There's just a bunch of people who have drawn great you know, uh, female form type covers. And that's the only reason I don't want to do it. It's like, it's just too much to freaking manage. But this is one of those situations where I just relented. Um, Here is an absolutely amazing good girl cover. I guess you could kind of call it a headlights cover to a certain degree, but look at the snakes and all that, the Medusa hairstyle. Man, that is, and this is high grade. I got this. This is the thing. Like, I got this over at Grid City, and I'm so glad I got it because, like right now, I think you're gonna start to see Supergirl stuff spike up, and so people are gonna be going after books like this. I got a really high grade, bordering on near mint, probably VF copy here, but you could make an argument it's near mint for this age. It's just looks fantastic. And yeah, I got this for um I got it for around $10. So $10 for this is an absolute steal in this condition, if you ask me, because I think the legs on a book like this, again, this is early issue from her run. Looks like this are like the good girl crowd. They're gonna go after Oxner stuff now, especially on this run here. So yeah, number 22 is a beauty. Beauty. Here is another beauty. This is more of her classic Silver Age image. This is Action Comics 299. This is, I believe, a fan favorite as well. It's Super Baby. It just shows like this is who Superman is, even from like a very, very young age. He's being this selfless baby, He's taking care of the other orphans, bringing joy to the orphans, right? That's who Super Baby is. He's a baby, but he's still super. So this is another book I kind of paid up for. I think I paid like $18 for this one or something around there. It's got writing on it, obviously, but as you can see, outside of the writing, really nice spine. Corners are still decent. No real creasing in it in the book. The back looks really great. So this is another sort of higher grade, mid to high grade copy. I'd probably put it at like a maybe a 6570 type copy. I guess it depends on how you view that writing. Don't take too much off for the writing. I mean, this could be like a 7.0 copy, right? Got some spine ticks there. That's about, and some wear from the age. It's a Silver Age book, but it's really great for a Silver Age book. But yeah, I mean, the color on this, again, the Supergirl image there, absolutely breathtaking book. This is another one that probably should be higher on the list. It just kind of had it tucked in with, kind of had this as like a time machine, just going back in time, 12 set to 10 set cover type of thing. This is one I actually wish was in better shape. It's got issues. See some of the a lot of the foxing there, and back is really, it's really along the spine that you see that tanning. It's even not tanning. It's like, what would you call it? It's like blackening almost. Yeah, cover looks decent enough. You know, it's really the spine on this that's. But yeah, we have the first appearance and origin of composite Superman, which is this like, it's this robot who like he adopts the best traits of both Superman and Batman. It has all these like powers. I like this one, chameleon powers. Chameleon. Where I'm like pointing in the wrong direction here. Chameleon powers. That's the funny one. So yeah, this is a key book. Really happy to have it because it's this is just like classic Silver Age stuff here. And composite Superman's kind of been popping up here and there, you know, throughout the years. So I'm sure something we'll continue to see just because of the relationship that these two have. You know, obviously, composite Superman is one of those running gags that comic book enthusiasts will never get tired of. Here is the meme, the internet meme book, the panel where Batman's slapping Dick Grayson, Robin. So this is another really key comic book. This was part of the gifted collection from G Lantern Comics, so shout out to him once more. I really feel fortunate to have this book because it's always been a book I wanted to get for the collection, but I didn't feel justification to buy it at whatever it's selling for. Although it has fallen, so I was, you know, considering buying this back during the COVID comic boom, or I should say post-COVID comic. Well, yeah, it was a COVID comic boom. And this was going for a lot more back then because the meme thing was a lot fresher or newer, I guess, of a trend during that time. But then, you know what? I realized, like, first off, the book started falling in value, and then I realized, like, yeah, as cute as that book is and all that, I just would never pay that much just for it to be like this meme gimmick. Well, when it came into the collection, I was just like glad to have it because I still think, meme or not, this is just a great. It's like it's an early Elseworlds, right? This is not, you know, true continuity. It's an imaginary. They call them imaginary novels, but it's the one where if Batman and Superman were enemies rather than friends, what would happen? And we have this great scene here of Batman flying on his bat wing, and he's made a kryptonite batarang. Superman's probably the thing that is most in danger for him, a kryptonite batarang. That's just crazy right there. Lots of time travel indeed, Prime. Glad you're still hanging out and checking out the show. Hopefully, you're still listening to uh, Fanboy. So we got World's Finest, 154 more World's Finest goodness. This is also from the collection Josh gifted, and this is the first appearance of the Super Sons, or the Sons of Superman and Batman, Kal-El Jr. and Bruce Wayne Jr. Um, so great classic key book here. Just love it. And I think, it's good timing I got this, because this is a book I would have continued to want. But this book specifically, I think, will spike like crazy soon. It's like key books like this, right? This is the first Super Sons, right? And the Super Sons are thing. They exist in today's comic book lineage. Um, you've got Thomas Wayne, right? You've got Jonathan Kent. It's like both Superman and Batman named their sons after their dads, which is cool. You could do that. But yeah, it's like this idea of the sons exists in comic books, but this is the first official reference of them. So highly undervalued from that kind of lens or perspective. But at the same time, like, yeah, if you're a comic book speculator and you're just a collector and you're just looking at, okay, what do I pick up? If I want to pick up World's Finest stuff, what in the run do I want to target? This is got to be high on the priority list. And again, I just really feel really fortunate to have picked this up now than having to have picked this up in 2026, because I didn't pick it up. I was gifted it, but imagine trying to pick up a book of this grade and condition in 2026. It could prove to be much more challenging than it should be. Here's another cool adventure comics. You got young Bruce and young Clark looking into the future and being like, whoa, hey, we're best buddies. Cool. And so this is, I think, this is the first origin story of how they teamed up. It's their first team up. So that's kind of cool. There's a key book. 10 center here. Great, actually, in really great shape. It's a little faded, like sun faded. So it's not, I mean, I've seen a copy of this book this summer, going for a lot more, of course, but it was a lot more the colors on this are a lot more vibrant. But yeah, this is another key book, another 10 center. Pretty cool book, pretty cool pickup. Yeah, given, I think this probably came out like in, I think it came out in 61 or 60 or 61 or something. But this TV, they're looking at this like TV type thing, and you can see all the this is actually like what the insides of TVs look like, right? Like circuitry and actual bulbs and stuff, right? That's kind of cool. Time capsule just a little slice of history there through the covers of these books. That's pretty cool. All right. I forget what we're on now. I kind of lost track here. I want to say here, let me just count it real quick. We had 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18. All right, this is number 17 on the list. 17. Another 10 center. And this is the kind of stuff I collect. Because again, like I mentioned, Superman has a lot of stuff there for you guys to collect. So if you're not specific to what you like or what you want to pick up, it gets to be very, I mean, even just picking up Lana Lang stuff, which is what I'm fine doing. I love picking up Lana Lang covers, Lana Lang related books. So a lot of Superboy, right? From that perspective. But I love the books where Lana and Lois are at odds or competing against one another. So this is a great example of that. You've got Lana looking into the future, and again, another future vision television here, I guess. I guess that was the thing in the 60s, early 60s. People were getting televisions, and I'll use my television to look into the future kind of thing. But we have Lana Lang's trap for Lois Lane. She realizes, oh man, this Lois Lane, she's getting my man in the future. No, that ain't happening. I put a stop to that. So she's plotting. She's a plotting right there, Lana Lang. Lana's too good to plot. Come on. All right, we've got another 10 center here. This is Superman, Super Mischief of Mr. Mxyzptlk. And Mr. Mxyzptlk is given all the resident jailbirds, the resident inmates superpowers. And instead of escaping, they're all testing their powers like a bunch of nitwits. So, Great Krypton, that imp from the fifth dimension, is used as magical powers to turn every one of these prisoners into Superman. And they're just beating each other up. They like to stay in prison, I guess. So, look at that. Classic stuff right there. Another beautiful Kurt Swan cover. Kurt Swan, the Superman goat artist. You could make an argument for that. The greatest Superman artist, at least from a volume standpoint. Because he's just done more covers than anybody. He's just done more artwork on Superman than anybody to have ever done artwork on Superman. And I don't think that'll ever be broken. I mean, he literally has decades of working on a book month to month. It's kind of impossible to have that kind of production these days. So I doubt anyone will ever challenge Kurt Swan as the Superman goat artist. But we'll see. Never say never. We've got this beautiful Undersea Kingdom cover here I think this is from 1950, I would say 58, 59 or something like that. Just a great shot right there. Sitting on this throne here. It's ruling. Where's Aquaman? Uncle Man's got to be like, hey man, what are you doing on my turf? But there you go. Action Comics 244. Always good to have stuff like that. All right, lost the count again. That was what, 17, 16. Honestly, this is 15 now. We're going on to 15. More kind of super kid stuff. And Superman's future wife. Can you guess who she is? We know it's Lois, right? It's got to be Lois. But we don't know. So this is another glimpse into the TV future. But yeah, look at all this, like this mid-century like home. That's just a great glimpse of like that mid-century, those like mid-century sofas there. That's top stuff right there for you to preserve a wooden piece like that and the upholstery on a mid-century furniture like that. That obviously this table is not. Table's kind of more like old country table, but these chairs here, those very modern looking chairs there. The home too. The home's obviously kind of like a modern home that they're just chilling out in. And got the super twins. Like not the actual Wonder Twins, but the super twins. The twin children of Superman and his mystery wife. All right, so that was 15. We've got 14 right on the back here. Rainbow. The Superman high on Skittles, I guess. The rainbow's power here of Superman. And this has issues. It's got some foxing going on there. It's got some creasing. I think I paid what I paid for this. I paid a little bit more on this one. I think $30 on this one. But I thought, yeah, this is kind of a low condition book, but it looks great. And it's definitely a fun book here. Superman's new power. They were always giving him really inventive, neat powers throughout his progression. So yeah, rainbow fingers. Wouldn't want rainbow fingers. All right, moving right along. Number 13. This one has a big issue. It's got a tear right up here. Let me find it here. It's in the middle of the book somewhere. Yeah, it's right there. It's right in front of me. So that little thing there is like a kind of a tear into the book. It's got spine issues. I think it could improve with like a clean and a press. And I say could. It looks pretty good as is, but yeah, you could probably clean up the spine there a little bit, press some stuff out. I think we got a really, really nice book here. So this is another example of a book that will spike in 2026 with all the Brainiac buzz. I mean, everybody on the project is literally saying, hey, it's not, no one's confirmed it's Brainiac, so stop saying it's Brainiac. So, like at studio people, you got people in the industry saying there's no confirmation it's Brainiac in the next Superman movie. And they're teasing like Lex Luthor and the power suit and all that. So we just don't know. But again, when you put out like a, what is it? They put out like a image of like some concept artwork. And it looks like the concept artwork is drawn. And again, Gunn teased it. But it looked like it was drawn by like his, I don't know, 4-year-old niece or something. It was a horrible picture, but you obviously see this part of the Brainiac in the rendering art, and that's what has people convinced it's Brainiac. I mean, Gunn only has himself to blame because he put that image out. So I don't know if that's a feint of hand. It just really feels like a feint of hand. I wouldn't go all in on Brainiac quite yet. I'm sure he's coming. I'm sure maybe he's a part of that project on some level, but I think there's something uh, deeper that's being planned and set up for that movie, like a big reveal or surprise or something. What up, Agu? How you doing, man? Agu was at Grit City Comic. We ran into each other, and he picked up some cool stuff. Batman. He's a Batman collector. He actually had a book that I wanted, Neil Adams book that he picked up. Wouldn't trade it to me. But that's fine. Just give me a hard time, man. All right, moving right along. That is 13. We're going right to 12 here. Got a 12 center. What's going on? Why are you going back? Why are you going back? This just happens to be, I think, this was like number 2, maybe on my Kurt Swan cover art list. And I mean, it's one of my favorite. And I think you can appreciate it more if I just flip it. It just, you can see how brilliant Kurt Swan, why he got Superman and why they kept him on Superman for so long. I mean, the guy's just, he's one of the best in the biz. And for him to put out like a cover like this, I'm sure it was effortless. I'm sure it just was like you come up with a concept and you just sketch it in minutes. And when you got workhorse like that, it's almost unfair. Again, I'm sure, I don't know his process, but he was coming into this was back, again, different era when everybody came into the office, did their work, and then left, right? You don't go home and you're not drawing in your bed on an iPad and then submitting it, through email or through some shared folder, protected Microsoft, shared folder online. And no, this is like old school processes, and you got to just appreciate a book like this from this period. So yeah, I love this book because first off, it's incredible artwork, but it also touches on a theme that I want to kind of just spend some time chatting about. Prior to the Superman movie coming out this year, I think when the Superman project was announced, and this is like maybe almost I want to say 2.5 years ago, I was excited. First off, I was like, great, they're making a Superman movie. They got James Gunn. But I was also very kind of anxious about how the film would do, because us Superman fans, we want Superman to be beloved, we kind of were just pining for the Christopher Reeve days when, everybody knew Superman, everybody knew who he was, and he was just like, there was no hate around him. He was the most popular superhero. Batman was second. All those things, right? And then it was during my collecting era where all of that changed. It's like the world turned on Superman, at least the comic book community turned on him. And then they killed him off, and then his popularity just was always kind of second to Batman. And DC was second to Marvel, and it just like his popularity plummeted. Brandon Ruth's Superman movie, I loved it. I thought it was great. People could care less. The Snyderverse totally revamped the Superman story to kind of like make him interesting to, I guess, new audiences again. And they literally just crapped the bed on not only the costume design, but his character. I mean, they put out Angry Superman. Um, they just, again, they did a horrible job, and I don't want Snyderverse people want Snyderverse to do something in the DCU. I'm for him not doing anything, and if he is going to do something, let it be some like obscure thing, like I don't know, Hawkman, or like don't. He doesn't need to be doing these sort of like more high profile IPs. Uh, Taking nothing away from him as a director, or that I just think I know he doesn't understand comic books, because if you understood comic books, you would have put out a Superman movie like that. And I remember going to the theater and just being utterly disappointed with the Snyderverse Superman movie. Utterly disappointing, because he just took so many liberties with the story, and he like killed Zod in the end in that movie. And it just was just like, stop. And the fact that they brought Zod just goes to show his like, of all the things you could bring back, you're gonna bring back Zod like the original movie, and just completely revamp it so that nobody will care about this character moving forward. Um, so yeah, we've come kind of full circle from that. Obviously, Gunn did a better job. I think Gunn could have done actually. He could, you know, when I saw the movie, I did like it. I didn't love it, because I felt like he could have done a little bit more in the realm of um, the Christopher Reeve aspect of the character, right? Uh, but all in all, it was good. It was really, really good. And I think in terms of setting things up outside of Superman, that's where it really succeeded, right? It brought in the Justice Gang. It brought in this idea that there's metahumans, there's people outside of Superman living on in this continuity and universe, and we just don't know who those people are yet. So we're going to get them, and that prospect is what's pretty exciting. You missed out on FenCom, good deals and vendors. Yeah, but FenCom was like what? It's like what, $5 to attend, $10 to attend? I forget. I don't have any budget. If I had like $50, I would have gone to FenCom. I'm sure they had a lot of great deals and all and whatnot. I just don't have money right now. So hopefully, I do want to go to Comic Grit City again next year. So hopefully, uh, you and I'll coordinate that for next year. Remind me again which Batman you got. You got the the Neil Adams. Um, Aga, remind me again which Neil Adams Batman book you got. Was it the I'm trying to think. I don't remember which Neil Adams Batman book you got. You got to remind me what you got. I do want that. It's Superman on the cover, right? There's a Superman on the cover. No, maybe not. 230. Okay, that's the one where that's the horror cover, right? Where he's getting sucked into the door. I want to say that's that one. Or is it the more iconic one? Yeah. All right. Moving right along. So yeah, again, the world forgot about literally during my collecting era, the world forgot about Superman. Um, and it it applies to like Christopher Reeve, right? Christopher Reeve played Superman for as long as he could, but it just like his popularity waned. The movies just uh, its budget kept getting cut, so the studios were wary of like Superman fatigue. Get they were just gonna kind of lowball the production and try to get people to go see it, and that strategy just kept getting worse and worse as Reeve kept getting typecast and was unable to work in other projects that people cared about. So it was just kind of like a horrible situation for him professionally. And then, yeah, in comic books, there are all these other exciting, cool things to collect or read, namely the X-Men, namely Marvel stuff, right? Um, I guess Superman got yeah, okay, it was the Black Power. Yeah, that was a good one. You got the Black Power cover. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, I knew I wanted that one. That's a great that is the one I want. That was a cool one. You still want to trade for it? All right. But you know what I mean? Like the world had moved on from Superman. Let's just put it that way. And I was a kid when I watched Superman. So I'm one of those people that was like ride or die with Superman. Um, I had all his toys growing up. I had the Underoos. I was eating cereal to the Saturday morning cartoons, the Super Friends, the Justice League versus the Legion of Doom. Um, I was watching Superman animated Superman Adventures as a college kid, embarrassingly. I was doing all these things, uh, and ironically, I never collected Superman comic books. So here I am. I love comic books. I mean, I read them. I never collected them though. So I would just read comics here and there. Probably had maybe like 3, 4 Superman comics in my entire collection. Um, I did read and collect the Death of Superman, the Death of Clark Kent, like that whole arc there, just bits and pieces of that. Not the entire. I didn't bother to get every single issue as it was coming out because it was just so voluminous from a title standpoint. So you just had to kind of pick your poison. I think I was getting whatever looked cool in terms of cover work and all that. So gotta get a second copy. Might have one by the time we go to FinCom on 5/7. Okay, yeah, I'll plan for that. I'll try to save up for May. Um, yeah, I definitely want to pick up more Superman books. So we'll see. That may be a possibility. All right. While you guys stare at that, um, I'm just thankful that again, Superman's back on tap. People, younger people, are not going to be like, oh. What's interesting is I have a Gen Z um, I have a colleague, uh, great colleague. Love this guy. He and I are like cut from the same cloth, except again, he's Gen Z, I'm Gen X, and uh, but like we're talking about like, hey, what are you into and kind of stuff, and he's obviously into stuff like again, generationally, he's into different things. So he's into things like the Marvel stuff and the whatchamacallit, Pokemon stuff. And I was kind of like, hey, are you going to watch Superman? And he's like, yeah, I kind of want to see it. And I told him, hey, before you go watch Superman, have you seen the original, the Christopher Reeve original movie? And he's like, no, I've seen like bits and pieces of it or whatever. And I told him, hey, you should go watch the whole thing from start to finish. Go watch it because it'll give you some perspective before you watch this new movie. Well, he never watched the original. He said he watched it, but I know he didn't because he came back being like, I wasn't impressed by it. So I just think he was just saying that um just to kind of like, I don't know, uh get me off his back maybe. But I could tell he didn't watch it. But I didn't press him on it. But then, he's like, summer ended, and I don't know if I think it's streaming and all that. But he still hasn't watched the Superman. So obviously, to him, it's like he doesn't want to watch. It's not worth his time to, watch it. And that's the thing. Like once he does watch either of those IPs, not that he's going to get into Superman, but he's going to, I think, appreciate Superman a little bit more. I don't know, maybe he'll fall like head over heels over Superman, but this is kind of what we're dealing with. And so when Gunn's project came out, and you got all these people who literally forgot, like they know Superman, but they don't know him, right? They kind of have this casual like understanding of him. Um, they don't really know the story of the character. So what I really appreciate about this comic book is this sort of like, this was kind of like not really a thing. This is a novelty. Like what? Superman like peak popularity? What do you mean the world forgot about Superman? Everybody knows Superman in the 50s, right? He was this icon from the start. Television show, radio programs, comic books. I mean, he was just at the center of like this new post-war American mythology centered around superheroes. And yeah, I mean, this back then seemed like a outlandish kind of like, prospect. The world forgetting about Superman. What are you talking about? He's super popular. But yeah, um, I watched it happen during my comic book collecting era, and the fact that I'm having conversations with young people, they really have they're clueless to Christopher Reeve. They're clueless to this character. They're clueless to what's going on with him throughout his comic book history, let alone barely having the maybe the peak or interest in watching a newer version of him on screen. So that's what I appreciate about James Gunn's project. He's made the world remember Superman again and remember him in the right way. And um, there's this now kind of upswell of passion for the character again. You see a lot of people just being passionate about the story, the character, and the movie. It's all because of the movie, obviously, but the movie is like I see younger people like going out and reading Superman comics. I see channels now that are like focusing on Superman books, like these are the top Superman books you got to read, and all these, and these are obviously like again younger fans, kids that are getting into him now and appreciating him for the you know appreciating him for why he's a uh, a worthy or worthwhile character to um, just be engaged with, right? So that's kind of where um, I feel like we forgot about Superman, and then now we're remembering him again. All right, so we're moving on, we're continuing on here with gotta count these books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. We got 7 more books. Number 7 on the list. Now, this Lois Lane cover just might be my favorite um, book in the run. There's one. There's only one other book. Okay, I'll say there's only 2 other books. Well, let me rephrase that. There's only 3 other books that could probably outdo this particular book. One is Lois Lane #1, and Lois Lane #1 is a big book, but for what it is, it's also I think still affordable. It's not like out of the realm or reach of adding to your collection, but it is probably getting there. So if I want to target a big book in 2026, Lois Lane #1 is about as I think big as they come because it's again a very hefty price for Lois Lane #1. And these don't come to, you know what I mean? They're not just all over the place. These are harder books to find. They're actually in people's collections uh, because they're valuable. So if you have Lois Lane and you've paid the money to have Lois Lane in your collection, or if you just had it throughout your collection as a collector, it's one of those books that like if you're selling off your collection, it's one you might actually keep, right? You'll sell off the rest, but you're going to keep Lois Lane #1. So it's one of those iconic books. That's one. There's another one where Lois Lane's a little baby in a pen. She's throwing uh, something as Lana and Superman are about to, they're getting a little touchy on the couch, and baby Lois throws like her shoe or something at Lana, and that's another one I want. Probably one of the 3 must-haves that would outdo this book. And of course, the last one is the Super Pussy cover. It's where Catwoman turns Superman into a black cat, has him caged in this like lead kryptonite cage or whatever, and he's like sitting there with this. She's this like cute little black cat with a cape, and again, it has super pussy on the cage. It's just a hilarious with the the sexual innuendo there as well. Um, that is a big book as well. That book is spiking like crazy right now because I know last year when I was considering getting it, I could get it for under 100, like a mid-grade copy under 100. Forget about that now. A mid-grade copy is gonna run you $200 to $300 for that book, and it's super hot. Again, for the right reasons. It's a Key Lewis Lane book because it's I think Catwoman's first appearance in like the Silver Age or something. But it's also the Super Pussy book. It's a Superman turned into a black cat book. So that is probably the top book I want to target in 2026. But it's going to be a big book. Unless I get it in like super low grade for like maybe $100 or so. Um, but I think I'm willing to pay a little bit more and get a better grade for that particular book. Now, Amazing Heroes did have that book. It looked to be maybe like a 6.0 copy, pretty decent grade book. And he had it for $500, which is ridiculous. But he was assuming, hey, if you really want this book, you're gonna haggle me down, and you know, it's probably in that grade. It's probably a $300 book. Um, and I guess he wanted you to haggle him down to 300, but it was priced at 500. I didn't have to. I mean, I wanted the book, but I didn't have 300, or I wouldn't have other stuff to get. I didn't have $300. You know, my entire budget was what, $200. So I didn't have. It was not even worth trying to get down because I wanted to get other stuff and is out of my price range. So hoping if we get a good chunk of change for comics this coming summer, that I have enough to get that book. It's a book I really want. But okay, with all that being said, outside of those three, this has to be my favorite from the run. And it's just because it's, first off, very stylish. I don't even know what you call this kind of design. I'm sure it was a very trending kind of French fashion back in the 50s and 60s. But yeah, you got Lois, these vibrant colors, Lois looking super chic. Lana obviously looking great in her green dress as well. Not as good as Lois, but Lois is wearing this like just ridiculous backpack called the Emotion Machine, and she's getting jealous here. And Superman hates jealous women, you know that, right? Everybody knows that. So again, now this one is a detached cover, and when I got this, I let Jason know, got it at All American Comics. And I was like, Jason, you know, here the staples are popped. You know, it's a detached cover. So I think he had this price at like $20 or something. And I was like, you know, it's not worth $20. So what I'll do is I'll pay you. I ended up getting like a lot of like 3 or 4 books, this being one of them, for like around 30. I want to say $28 or something like that. So I ended up getting this for significantly less. In fact, I think I got this for around $5 to $8. And what's great about that is I did some research a detached cover doesn't necessarily mean it's low grade. If you have all other things being equal on the book, like in great shape, you could potentially have like a mid-grade book. And that's what we have here. We have really just a great looking comic book. I mean, I'd show you the back of this. Let me just pull it out here. We've got look at the back cover here. How white, pristine it is. Again, the spine here is the issue. It's the staples are popped, covers detached, but there's not a lot of wear on that cover at all. Again, if the staples were attached, this would be a very high grade book. And it hasn't been pressed or cleaned or anything. So, I mean, maybe it's been cleaned, maybe it has been pressed, but something tells me it hasn't. And absolutely just beautiful looking copy here. And again, it's not like I'm going to be like reading this or anything. This is just like in the collection now. It's in fantastic looking shape, even though the cover is detached. The book is complete minus the detachment. So, really, really incredible pickup here. And again, number 7 on the list, deservedly so. One of my favorite pickups this year. And there you go. So I'm just going to put this back in its back in the top loader. Just let you guys enjoy that again. All right. We're getting to some of our bigger pickups, I guess. And this is number 6, 7, and sorry, 6, 5, and 4, right? 3, 2, 1. Sorry. This is 8, 7, 6. 8, 7, 6. Number 8 on the list. I paid what did I pay for these? I paid I think $9. No. I paid $9 for this book. I paid $10 for this one. And then I paid $1 for this one. So I paid $20 for all 3 of these. And they're all signed by Dan Jurgens. They're also part of that collection that that dude at Grid City had. And so the guy gave me just a great deal. He obviously was like, "Oh, you like Dan Jurgens?" And he was like a 90s collector. He had gotten all these signed right around the time of when this book came out and when he had met Dan at the comic show. I guess he was like a big comic book fan back in the day, but then I don't know, he just was like liquidating his collection and stuff by attending these shows and whatnot. And he didn't seem to kind of like value these as much now. I don't know. But man, do I feel fortunate to have gotten these. First off, we've got a signed book here on Superman 82. This is the foil variant. This is where he does come back and he comes back as Superman, right? And I think this is the battle between him and Cyborg Superman. So really key issue here. The cover is a little faded though, because I have this exact same book, but my copy was well preserved, or at least protected from sunlight. This one looks like it may have been exposed over the years to sunlight, and just it's lost its vibrancy in terms of the color. It still looks good, but again, it's a little dull compared to the copy I have, and it's just maybe oxidated a little bit as a foil cover. But the signature looks good, and man, I'm just happy to have it. Next, we have Superman 78. This is the first story revolving around Cyborg Superman. So it's his first sort of, not his first appearance. He's kind of previewed, and there's intimations of him in previous issues, but this is where he actually, we see him in story, and we get the sort of the mystery around why is this character here? Who is he? It's kind of just presents him. And we get a full sort of view of him like talking and engaging and all that. So big key issue here. I got one of 10,000 from the Dynamic Forces signing. Beautiful Dan Jurgens signature there. And they're actually, I think he got to a point, because it's 10,000 signatures. That's a lot of signatures, but he got to a point where he was just doing Jurgens on some of these signatures. He wasn't writing Dan or anything. He was just writing Jurgens, like his last name. And so, hopefully he got a signature where he had the whole name, not just Jurgens. And then, of course, last but not least, we got the polybag. I wanted the black polybag version, and I almost pulled the trigger. I almost paid like $10 for a copy of this at my local LCS. And I'm glad I didn't, because I got a signed copy for $9, and it's actually better polybag condition than the copy I would have bought for 10. So this was just, this book in this format, the black polybag, still bagged, that this book by itself is like still a $20 book. But to have it signed, and look at that signature, it's just freaking, like, you can read it. It's Dan Jurgens. It's this one, and this again, signed around the time this book came out. It was signed, I think, in Portland, is what the guy told me. So, yeah, like a local show in Portland back in the mid-90s. This was before Emeralds. Emerald City was not even a Comic-Con back in the mid-90s. So this guy was like one of those like true nerds and fans that went to these conventions before they were cool. So yeah, got this signed at that event, and $9, man. That's just crazy to me. That's just crazy. All right, my back's starting to kind of ache, and we're down to our last four books. And all these four are like now some of the top books in my collection. You can see the from this list, as long as and exhausting as it is, a lot of good stuff here, right? A lot of good Superman stuff. So this one, again, part of that All-American, I showed off the Lois Lane book. This was also part of that. And again, like, I got this also for like maybe in the $10-12 range. But it is like a 9.0 copy. I want to say it's a 9.0 copy. It just is phenomenal in terms of its. I mean, actually, no, maybe not 9.0 quite yet. It's got that little, the minutest of color break creases, but everything else on this book is fantastic. Yeah, I probably have this at like an 8.5, not a 9.0, given all the issues here. I mean, you really got to look at this book to just see how pristine it is. I know I'm magnifying all the little faults, and you're like, no, that's not a 8.5 or whatever. No, it really is a beautiful book. It's colorful, it's vibrant, it's white. There's, again, the minutest of color breaks right there. That's it. Got some color breaks there, but very, very minor. You got to really magnify it to see it. I think a press would help this book a little bit, maybe. But yeah, solid VF copy. I know, given this age, I don't see anybody giving it less than an 8.5. But I don't know, if I were grading, I'd just take a book like this and maybe give it a little bit of an upgrade, because it just looks fantastic. But yeah, we have Superman 210, part of that iconic early Neil Adams run on the Superman. Definitely one of his more iconic covers from this run. Got Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane. You got kind of like a what's going on kind of scenario, but also just beautiful detailing on the boat and everything. It's just freaking goodness. So very happy with this pickup. Again, pick this up way under what it probably I could sell it today for. Just Jason has a lot of Superman comic books, and he just hasn't bothered to kind of recalibrate the pricing yet. I'm hoping I can go there first thing in 2026 when I have a good chunk of change, and get the rest of the Superman books sitting in this collection, because you got a lot of good stuff there. I still think it's, you know, it's fairly priced, but the thing is, you can talk him down and negotiate a more competitive price, and that's kind of what happened here. And I paid probably $10 to $12 for this book. In no way is this a $10 to $12 book, given this condition and all that. So I feel really fortunate to have gotten it at the price I did. This one, man, one of my favorite Superman covers of all time, one of my favorite artists of all time. It's a triple signature. These three guys have been just killing it at DC since this book was published. And to have it signed, have a copy of this signed by these three artists, I mean, this is what I collect, right? I have like four copies of this book, but now I have the signature copy there, and man, on any given Sunday, this could be probably my favorite, one of my favorite pieces in the collection, if not my favorite. But it's 3 on my list. Again, in any other given year, this particular pickup could have been the best pickup this year, but this year's just had a lot of great things. And again, I got this and this together. I think I paid what, like under 50 for this, for both of these books. Insane. Under 50 for both of them. That just is wrong. All right. This one I paid $32 for. It's the only book I picked up at Ancient Comics. Went in there with like 32 bucks or something like that. And saw this book. Jeff said, I'll sell it to you for 50. And I just was like debating it. And then I finally went to him and said, look, I don't have 50 bucks. I do have 32 bucks. I'll give you it. And you can let me have the book. And he sold it to me for 32 bucks. And he threw in a couple dollar books as well, which made me happy. Because I think I said, I'll give, hey, can you just throw in these like dollar books or quarter bin books? And he's like, all right. But yeah, I mean, $32 for this is a freaking steal, man. It's a freaking steal. We've got a Joe Kubert signature on the DC special celebrating it. This is literally the Joe Kubert issue from DC. Okay. In terms of like artist editions, like artist tribute kind of stuff, like those are bigger now, I think, than they were maybe back when. But DC doesn't showcase artists like this unless they're true like freaking legends, right? And yeah, they featured a bunch of artists in this manner by just collecting the stories, the various story, like the kind of the best of, right? The best of Joe Kubert in this issue. And he does this cover for his best of issue. And he just beautifully, again, you got the Sergeant Rock there. You got to have Sergeant Rock. You got Superman there. How often do you see a Joe Kubert Superman? But you have him doing all of his, I guess, best of characters there, and they are paying tribute in this cover to him. So he's kind of sending the message like, look, I am who I am because of these characters. And again, you have just a very sort of hard at work Kubert, Joe Kubert, just again, phenomenal artist, talent, legendary comic book figure. His legacy continues today through his sons. He has a school that pumps out literally some of the best artists in the biz. So it's his legacy in comic books is incredibly his footprint is incredibly large. And so this is a question I've got to go to the CGC census to actually gauge how many of this kind of book is out there, meaning the DC Joe Kubert special signed by Kubert, right? I highly doubt this is a one of one. I would imagine over the years, collectors have gone to Joe Kubert to get books signed. There must have been maybe a handful of people with the foresight to be like, this is the book you should get signed by Joe Kubert, and got said or such book signed. So I'm just going to put out there's probably over 100, maybe close to maybe 200-300 copies of this book as a very non-conservative estimate, like as just like a, there can't be more than 300 copies of this book, right? Just given the fact that of all the things people would want to get signed, how many of those people brought this book to him to sign, right? So I'm just going to arbitrarily, there's no fact or reason based around this, but I'm going to just say, put the number at around 300. There's probably 300 copies of this Joe Kubert DC special signed by him out there in existence. And hey, yeah, have a good night, Agu. Um, and if that's the case, hopefully I have one of 300. But I can tell you one thing. I This book is, again, signed copy, Joe Kubert, signed copy of DC Special. It it's not anywhere on eBay. It's not anywhere on any of these resale sites. It just doesn't exist. You just can't get the book. There are other books like Neil Adams 233 signed, the book I just showed, right? The Jim Lee Batman signature. There's a bunch of these right now. If you wanted to get it, you could get it. But this particular book, no. It just never pops up. It's again, I just think, like, if you have this book, you want to keep it. It's just that simple. It's Joe Kubert's DC special signed by the legend himself. So huge pickup for me personally. When I saw this and Jeff said $50 and I got it for 32, I was like, I just felt like, okay, I paid $32 for what potentially is like a one of 300 book, if that, right? If that. And again, I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt that they would have taken this book to get signed by him. Because this DC special was a very popular book. It also was popular. This issue in particular was popular, especially if you were a fan of Joe Kubert or collected Joe Kubert, right? Like, it would be on your radar of books to either collect or books that you own that made you appreciate his contributions. But man, fantastic cover, fantastic signature placement, everything about this book. Incredible. Again, could have been the best, the top Superman. And again, it's not really a Superman pickup in the sense that the Superman book, it's a Joe Kubert book, but with Superman there kind of in the background, hence Superman pickup. All right. I picked this early on in 2026, and it still remains the top pickup they're going to pick up in my collection. Because we've got Neil Adams, we've got Al Plastino, arguably two of the greatest artists to have ever worked on Superman. And you have a double signature I think this is Neil's first work on Superboy, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. So his first work on Superboy. Fantastic cover. And the condition on this is just phenomenal. You know, wear the staples there a little bit, like rusting on the staples, but all in all, just fantastic condition. Given the age, no creasing. Yeah. Vibrant, beautiful book. So yes, this is I'm a Neil Adams collector, so things like this, just what I love to pick up. So there you go. Those were the top 25 Superman pickups of 2026, and we threw in some consolation honorable mentions there at the beginning. And I hope you guys enjoyed this list. I am now going to jump off, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.